Hey everybody. So yesterday news broke that two big names would not be released from their NHL teams for the World Junior Championships this year. The New York Rangers are not lending Alexis Lafreniere to Team Canada, and the New Jersey Devils are not lending forward Jack Hughes to Team USA for the World Juniors. And that was pretty big news, as those were both eligible guys who were, first overall draft picks and very big names in the hockey world. But I certainly understand from a team perspective why they don't want these players going. Obviously, the injury risk is probably first and foremost. And the second thing is they're hoping that NHL training camps will be starting by the end of December, and they want these players in NHL training camps rather than off playing juniors. And so from a team perspective, I get it. They obviously don't want these guys getting hurt, and if they're going to be an impactful NHL player, they want them in training camp. They want them playing with their line mates, their teammates, and getting used to getting ready for the NHL season. In the case of Alexis Lafreniere, I completely agree with it. We haven't even seen him play an NHL game yet. The Rangers do not want to risk losing him before the season even starts. So they want him to, be in NHL training camp, be getting ready for the season, and see what they have with Alexis Lafreniere. But the case of Jack Hughes, I think, is a little bit different, because Jack Hughes could really have used the confidence boost, I think, of going to play in the tournament and really hopefully lighting it up in the tournament with Team USA, and then coming back to the NHL with maybe a little bit better confidence and a little bit more juice in his game, and feeling like he can actually accomplish, what he needs to at the NHL level, because he did not have a good rookie season last year. And this year coming up is a huge, huge season for Jack Hughes. A massive year for Jack Hughes in just his development and his career as an NHL player. So Jack Hughes was drafted first overall in 2019, and he, in 61 games last season, only had 7 goals, 14 assists for 21 points, and was a minus 26. Now, granted, he was not on a very good team. The New Jersey Devils were one of the worst teams in the league, but those are not numbers we're accustomed to seeing from a first overall pick. And I just really think he would have benefited from going and playing in the World Juniors and just trying to get some of that confidence and that swagger back in his game, because he had none of it last season in the NHL. And of the 7 goals that he had, 4 of them came on the power play. So that means that only 3 of the goals he scored all season long last year in 61 games were even strength goals. 3 even strength goals all season long. He had a very rough rookie year. Now, there are already people calling him a bust, and I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. Those people clearly don't know what the word development means, because not every player is going to be Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid and just step right in and light up the league. That's not how it works. In fact, most players aren't like that. And Jack Hughes is only 19 years old. He has plenty of time to develop and grow his game at the NHL level and become the first-line player, the top guy that he's supposed to be. Some players don't really break out until they're 22 or 23 years old. He's only 19. He still has time. But this season coming up, is a huge, huge year for Hughes. He needs to show significant signs of improvement and getting better. And, you really want to see him have a significantly better season than what he did in his rookie year, because his rookie year was very disappointing. It's too early to completely count him out yet, but he needs a much better season in year 2. He needs to show that he is developing, that he is improving, and that he is getting better, because if not, then you could be looking at this being, The future could be rough for Hughes and the Devils if he doesn't start to show those signs of improvement. And it's way too early right now to be calling him a bust, but if we're 2-3 years down the road from now and he's still not a top 6 player or putting up good point numbers, then you're very much entering bust territory at that point. So he needs to be better. There's no doubt about it, and I think him him playing in the World Juniors, I think, could have made him better just to get some of that confidence back. But I understand that they don't want him getting hurt there, and they want him at the playing with his teammates. They want him in training camp. They want him playing at the NHL level, and he needs to put up a big season this year. He's it's just with him, he's a smaller player. He's only 5'11", 170 pounds. I don't really think he was NHL ready last year. I don't think he was NHL ready as an 18-year-old. I think they just kind of threw him to the fire, and he didn't really respond well to that. Him being a player on the smaller side, I think there's a guy he could really, really learn from, and that is Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Braden Point is actually smaller than Jack Hughes. 5'10", 166 pounds. He's smaller than Hughes. But I really can't think of any point over the past couple years where I think that Braden Point's size was really an issue, or where he was being pushed around or knocked off the puck on a regular basis, or really just manhandled by the opponent's defense. I can't think of any time where that's happened to Braden Point in the past couple of years. Like, he's become an elite player for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he was over a point per game in the playoffs. He was almost a point per game during the season last year. He was almost a point per game throughout his NHL career. I think by the time we get deeper into it, he will be over a point per game player on a yearly basis, and he's been so good. And he's such a small size, but he doesn't shy away from the physicality. Obviously, he uses his speed and his quickness to his ability to avoid getting pushed around, to avoid getting knocked off the puck. He goes around a lot of slower players, but he goes to the net. He's not afraid to hit. He even drops the gloves from time to time, and you don't see players of that size doing that very often. But he's not afraid to do it, and Braden Point has just been a spectacular example of a small player, playing very well and being an incredibly impactful player at the NHL level and not letting his size be a deterrent. And Jack Hughes could learn so much from that, because I think Hughes physically was not ready for the NHL last season, and that was a big reason why he had such a down year. I mean, playing on a bad team doesn't help. Being only 18 years old doesn't help, but he wasn't engaged nearly enough into the game, and he wasn't engaged physically, and he kind of, tougher defensive teams could just kind of take the puck from him, and he didn't do a whole lot defensively, and he just got kind of pushed around at times. He needs to learn how to not let that happen despite being a smaller player. And like I said, I think Braden Point is the perfect example and perfect guy to learn from on how to do that and model. Jack Hughes should model his game after Braden Point, because he's just such a great example of it. But this is a huge season coming up for Hughes. He needs to show significant improvement as far as his point totals are concerned, as far as just his overall game is concerned. And it's I don't want to say it's a do or die year, because he's still so young. He's only 19. He's got plenty of time to grow and develop. But when you're a first overall pick, the pressure is on right away. And when you put up numbers like he did in your first season, the pressure greatly increases even more so in your second season, because you need to start showing those signs of living up to your draft status. And while not everybody comes into the league and lights it up like Connor McDavid did right away, when you're a first overall pick, you're not supposed to be really blooming at 25. You're supposed to be able to, be a top 6 player by the time you're 20 at like the latest, 2021 at the latest. So I want to see a lot from Jack Hughes this year. I think he probably could have benefited from going to the World Juniors, but I understand from a team perspective why New Jersey didn't really want to send him there, and they want him with the team for training camp, and they want him hopefully, ready to go for the start of the NHL season. They certainly don't want him to get hurt. And, they need a big year out of him, and he needs a big year for himself, for his confidence, for his overall game, for his development. He needs a big year this year. So Jack Hughes is definitely a guy to watch. you know, it's going to be a big season for him this coming year, and it's going to be crucial to his overall development. I think how he does this season is going to play a big role in what he ends up being as an NHL player. So here's my thoughts on Jack Hughes. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.